Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. You made it all the way to Friday, so happy Friday to everyone out there, but doesn't mean shit, Captain, because there is no rest for the wicked on this weekend, and a very big weekend that we have coming up indeed, as we do get to see the monthly close for the month of October, leading into, obviously, November, of which there is many big things to be looking forward to. So actually one of the most important things could actually be confirmed even as close as tonight. So we'll be talking about that, of course, and more. With a little bit of focus on traditional markets as well, and of course following up on yesterday's short-term time frame analysis. Anyways, I would like to wish you the best. I also would like to wish you the happiest, and let's get into it right now on the Krown application, which we found at app.krown.net. And what do we see? So first and foremost, I do want to go back on over to the open interest that we referenced yesterday. Remember this range that Bitcoin's kind of been creating with price action, correlated with the open interest range that we've been seeing kind of hovering around that 2.5 billion marker when Bitcoin was around about 13,800-ish region just a couple of days ago before that nice $1,000 dump. Well, what happened when that dump happened? Well, we actually saw open interest back off quite a fair bit, 200 to 300 million-ish region, of which we saw, I believe it was about 2.2 billion yesterday, now 2.3 billion. So what does it show? Well, it shows that when price action was coming down, that was mostly just longs taking profits. You know, obviously not everyone, but on the whole, yes, that's what was causing that price action. And then once Bitcoin kind of holds range, well, you actually do see about 100 million added back onto open interest. So what does that show? It does show that the first and foremost interpretation of this current area within Bitcoin price action is essentially a consolidation. And with consolidation in this current format, you know, you kind of have to favor the trend in this case. And so that will, you know, kind of help round out the overall bias here. Looking at Bitcoin dominance, popping up another 0.5% from yesterday to today as well. So Bitcoin dumping off, then rallying back up, and even holding the range is going to hurt altcoins even more, which is very nasty, because typically what you do see in a market like this is you do see that altcoins will actually take that opportunity while Bitcoin does range in order to regain a little bit on the on the Bitcoin pairings. That's actually not what we're seeing right here. When Bitcoin's violent, it's not good for any altcoin. It's like that meme where it's Bitcoin, you know, busting in the door and it's saying, "Hey, it's all-time high, baby." It's all-time high time, baby. And get ready once again. I fucking love that meme. There's a few memes in the crypto space that I absolutely love. That's definitely one of them. Anyways, so yes, you know, we are seeing that going back up. We should check that out probably over the weekend, because I think today's going to be full of other more relevant content for right now. But we'll check out a couple of altcoins, of course. And then looking at the fear and greed index, we also do see another 6-point increase from 67 to 74. So once again, back into the actually very greedy zone, so to speak. Anyways, go into the data tab and see if there's any parrots in this coal mine, and what the fuck are they saying? Because I don't speak bird, and I fucking hate birds. Anyways, what do we see? We do see that FTX, OKX, and Binance all trading, or not trading, but all having negative funding rates, which is incredibly interesting here. Incredibly interesting, because what you'd really expect to see is the interest rate going up. Maybe even getting close to like 0.05 at this point, but that's just not what we see anywhere. In fact, on the other side, Bybit, BitMEX, and Huobi all 0.01%. I mean, this is just telling us that it's really not the time to be looking for like major tops or anything like that. Yes, you know, it doesn't mean that you can't have like a short-term or medium-term top, of which we just played one out. $1,000 move down from about 13.8 to 12.8, and but still, you know, that's just because Bitcoin's in these big areas now. We're playing with big numbers, so realistically, it's going to take something more than that to really get this going. But yes, you know, for right now, it's kind of almost the opposite of what you expect to see after a move like that. Anyways, going on into the actual price action charts themselves, and I should probably explain. A lot of people have no fucking idea how this works here. It's actually hilarious, and you can really quickly tell if someone knows even just a small smidgen of anything, or if they're just completely bullshitting by this. A lot of people think that the that the funding rate is basically an interest rate, or basically like something that says that there's more longs than shorts. Like, let's say that Bybit, for example, has a positive rate. Well, people typically interpret that as, oh, well, that means that there's more longs than shorts. Actually, no, that's not what it means at all. In fact, that just shows that person's never even bothered to look at the fucking contract specifications on the exchange. If anyone even takes just that 1 second to do that, you'll very quickly realize that that's never going to be the case, because there's always one long for every one short. It's not not like coming from a margin funding pool, which it would actually be what Finex does, for example, and maybe I don't know if Binance does that as well. I've never traded there, so I don't know, but I do know that FTX, OKX, I don't know about OKX, but FTX, Bybit, BitMEX, probably FEMA and Deribit, all do it in the way that I'm kind of describing right now. And what actually drives the funding rate is the difference between the index price and the actual perpetual price. So the index price is typically like an average of two like major spot exchanges. Typically going to be some combination of like GDAX, or I guess it's called Coinbase, whatever the fuck now, and Bitstamp. Sometimes Gemini's included in there as well, but every exchange has their own index, and then they measure it against the perpetual price, and then the interest rate is based off of the difference between those two things. It has nothing to do with how many longs or shorts there are, because there's always going to be the same amount on exchanges like BitMEX, where it comes from that sort of a schedule. So anyways, back into the actual price action charts themselves. Let's follow from yesterday's short-term analysis. We did say, okay, so yesterday we were trading, I think we were like right around here yesterday when we did the video. Yeah, 13,350. I do remember saying that Bitcoin was likely to trade back up towards that region. Are we in the right chart right here? Yeah, we are. And then very likely come back down below 13,000 bucks. I was actually looking for about 12.9. We didn't quite get there. We got about $80 away from it. Sorry, yeah, about $80 away from it. Is close enough? Close enough? Yeah, in this case, yes. Although technically, I'm sure someone's gonna be out there. Krown, you got it wrong. You stupid bitch. You're dumb. It's like, okay. Thank you. Anyways, and then also said, yes, very likely does bounce off this region as well. I'm not looking for a major meltdown right now, at least for right now. And while I couldn't have told you that I was going to have a massive green girthy dildo back up all the way to about 13.7, this is why I go level by level. And as you can see right here, just playing the range between about 12.9 and that 13,350-ish region. Well, what happens when you break above the top side of the range? Well, free ride to the next blue box territory, in this case 13,650, of which we do get a perfect test actually right here and right here. So once again, the ranges are, well, sometimes that technical analysis bullshit works, doesn't it? Anyways, okay, what else we want to talk about while we're here? I think that's enough from yesterday's analysis. Let's actually go through the lower term time frames right now and see what the overall bias is. And what do we have right here? We do have a 4-hour Stoke, just going up just freshly right now. I don't really have strong opinions about that. Yes, obviously it will kind of imply another test back up towards the upper 13,000s, maybe 13,650, 13,700-ish region. Realistically, I'm just looking for this sort of short-term range right here to hold in the same way that we saw yesterday for this relevant region right here. So again, as long as Bitcoin's playing between about 13,350 to the downside and 13,650 to the upside, I don't really have any real calls to be made. Not that this is ever financial advice or that I'm a financial advisor. This is the furthest thing from it, of course. Anyways, if Bitcoin does break back down below, I'd look for it to play at a similar range. I'd look for it to come back down all the way at the very least to about 13,050 bucks, and then probably does make a full-on reach towards that 12.8 or 12.9 blue box territory right here, after which point I'd basically be looking for the same shit again, another bounce within that region. And likewise, to the upside right here, it's actually a lot easier to the upside right here because we can just use yesterday's high, or this actually might be today's high. Let's see. It is today's high, actually. Yes. Okay. Very interesting. Well, it's very similar to yesterday's high as well. But yes, if we do take out today's high, which is 13,675 on Mexico, and let's just go check on GDAX. Actually, yeah, about the same thing. 13,687 and 82 cents. What about Stamp? Yeah, same thing as well. Okay, so they're all kind of on, all kind of on the same trajectory. If we do take out this morning's high, then yes, I would look for a free ride back up towards about 13,900-ish region, and probably new highs on this run, alongside momentum also just turning back up, and we do see 4-hour RSI catching itself, putting in some hidden bullish divergence. Credit to Caretaker for that one. And well, could you say that hidden bullish divergence move has already kind of hit most of it? I mean, you could, yes. I mean, that's a pretty... Usually hidden divergences are like not going to be that impressive. This is a pretty nice move from a 4-hour hidden bullish divergence. I mean, that's about $1,000 move right there almost. So would it be relevant to say that it's already played out? Here's what I'd say. I'd say that the easy part of it has certainly played out. But if we do take out this morning's high, again, 13,675, but check your exchange, I'd be looking for another couple $100 extension on that towards about 13.9-ish region, and maybe beyond into the $14,000 region. 4-hour RSI, just in general is looking good here. Long term, as we've been saying for a long time, constructive as all fuck. And short term, yes, it actually is bullish as well. So momentum also is turning back up, and historical volatility percentile is starting to come down just a smidgen here, but still not even below the moving average on this. So we've been keeping a keen eye on this to kind of judge the next sort of contraction phase, and it's getting close. It's getting very, 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 very close. And if I had to call it right now, it probably does happen early November, but for right now, still kind of hot there. Looking at the 3 hour, what do we see? Yeah, we do see a 3 hour historical volatility percentile already kind of leading it in, so that is good. So yes, if I did have to call it, I do think that we're going to see an early contraction phase, a contraction phase in early November. Which is just in, let me see right here. Yeah, just in one day. Tomorrow is the last day, and today is the last day of the real trading month. And I need to take a sip of this water because I am goddamn thirsty right now. All right. Oh man, I need to figure out how to get more sleep in my life. Okay, what about momentum oscillators here? 3 hour Stochs nice and erect. 3 hour RSI looking very similar to the 4 hour. Actually, even getting the same sort of hidden bullish evidence here too. So quite nice. Then what do we got in the 2 hour? I suspect that we'll see just an even more. Actually, no, we do see bifurcation now between the lower term timeframes. Bi-hourly Stochs actually crossing down right here, rejecting getting above the critical zone. Bi-hourly RSI flat, more or less neutral-ish. So we are seeing a bit of, bifurcation here in bi-hourly HVP. What are we doing? Looking like it does kind of want to go into a bit of a contraction phase there as well. And I imagine that the hourly is probably going to be more in line with what we saw on the bi-hourly. And yes, indeed it is. We actually see, in fact, a lot of the same things here. So what does that align with? It probably aligns with some sideways action here. And if it's going to be sideways, probably sideways within our current short-term time frame range, which is basically, again, 13,350 all the way up to about 13,650. Resolution above or below both of that, driving targets about a few $100, in both directions. So fair enough. Is there anything else that we can do to kind of formulate a bias here? Well, we could go to the medium-term timeframes as well. And 12-hour is looking inconsequential as it is. We are seeing 12-hour Stochs come down to the edge of the bullish control zone. Here's what's interesting to me, though, is that we are going to see it test. Oh, I guess I already have this in there. We are very likely to see it test this trend line coming in just like a tick or two, very, very likely. Maybe even on the next tick is possible. And this trend line has actually been the one that's been holding up all of these major lows throughout this whole consolidation phase, going all the way back to, I believe, like 10,500. This was on the 23rd of September. Yes, this was actually lower than that, 10,250-ish region. Then getting this low right here on the 4th of October, somewhere around 10,600. And then the next low out of this base in middle of October. And then once again, testing this trend line as historical volatility percentile is increasing right here. So we're seeing a lower term time frame contraction phase likely getting started, whereas the medium term time frames are actually still in progress. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the overall run is not done just yet, but short term and maybe even medium term, Bitcoin likely to trade sideways within a range, and then we'll look for resolution probably, maybe middle of November if I had to guess right now. That's not to say that Bitcoin can't make new highs on this run. I wouldn't be surprised actually if Bitcoin does head up to about 14,200-ish region and then still comes back down and plays within this range. But it's all kind of a setup for November, at least with how things are looking like right now. Going back to the 12-hour right here, is there anything else that I want to be talking about? Yeah, we have that same sort of hidden bullish divergence here, so it goes all the way up to a 12-hour, which is pretty damn powerful. But again, easy part of that move is certainly played out, going all the way from 13 to 13.7. I mean, it's a pretty fucking phenomenal move right there. So if we do take out this morning's high, then yes, I would extend that target. Actually, well, let's see what would be the next target is the real question. And what we can do here is we can do another fib extension actually, and I can just do it on this small little consolidation phase that we're seeing right here, and that's kind of where I'm getting my $14,000 target from, and there probably should be one at about 14,200 as well. But what I'm doing here, or should I be doing that, or it's basically there. The one spot 414 is good enough for me. And historically speaking, is this relevant? Do we see this relevant towards past prior action? Yes, indeed we do. It's coming in from our highs in June 2019 on that phenomenal run, and then also the big bad breakdown in 2018 right here. That was your $14,000. Wait, hold on. where did my horizontal go? You fuck. Yeah, this is where I'm getting 14,200 from. So what I'd actually be having is a nice little range between about 14.2 and about 14 even, which is going to be right around there. So it's going to be a little bit higher than that. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty, so we should have a nice little liquid zone to the upside if Bitcoin does break to the up here. So I'm going to put a nice little blue box territory like so, and that would be my target if Bitcoin does take out this morning's high, essentially. Does it happen all in the same drive? I don't know, but probably over the course of like a day or two. Rather likely. Anyways, taking this all off and staying on the daily for a little bit more, we do see daily Stokes actually cross into the downside now. Again, this does make me a little more cautious than not. So, while I do think that Bitcoin looks overall good here on the long term, does that mean that we can't trade sideways and down for a while? No, of course not. So that's also kind of what I'm looking for. You're kind of seeing me be a little bit more hesitant within this region now. I mean, we spoke about this region for a long time, the upper $13,000 region as a good area just for Bitcoin to kind of, take a little bit of a breather at. And it's very simple stuff. Why I'm saying that is because that is basically your last major rejections coming in from 2019 and also your big meltdowns coming in from 2018 right here. If we put it in a nice blue box format, or actually not going to be relevant to the blue box that I have on this chart. I get what chart do I have it on? I forget. Anyways, also a 382 fib here. If you take an overall fib retracement from the ultimate high of 20,000 to the ultimate low of about 3,100, so all of these areas do kind of coincide with each other, and it's kind of saying that this is the time to be more or less cautious, which I do feel. Although what I'm going to show right now is something that is maybe the most important thing that we could be talking about today, and that is CMEs, because CMEs are not just be closing the daily today; they're also going to be closing the weekly and the monthly. And CMEs are going to have a chance to do something that they've never ever done before ever, and this would supersede anything on any other chart that I ever look at at least for the month of November and probably even December as well. And that is the monthly. The monthly is going to have a chance to close on a new high and confirm its first ever on CMEs, of course, uptrend on a monthly, by the way. So as long as Bitcoin closes above $12,630, we technically will have new highs on this run. And if we have new highs on this run, well, then that is an uptrend. As you take out your last prior high, what's the next thing to come? Well, new highs. and so fair enough, this would very likely drive targets much higher over the next few months to like half of a year. And while and while the ranges are so massive here that we could have $1,000 move to the downside, it wouldn't really do anything to the structure. I mean, that would make 12.5 a massive base here, which means that Bitcoin can come all the way back down there, and that would be completely fine. That's more than $1,000 move right now too. So to put things in perspective, this is going to get incredibly violent. The more and more that Bitcoin kind of like feels out these areas here. But again, this is the most important thing in my opinion as it is right now. It's going to be confirmed today at I believe 5 p.m. Central Standard Time is when the closure for CME does happen, and that's going to be your monthly closure right there. So again, anywhere above 12,630, CMEs officially have an uptrend. And don't get me wrong, like I said, that does not mean that I can't get a short-term bearish from move to the downside. It just means that long-term it makes my Bula-ish bias a little bit more intensified, I suppose. But yes, we could come all the way back down, $1,000, and that would be completely fine, actually. It wouldn't destroy structure at all, in fact. So I think that that's worth kind of thinking about for a little bit. Also, momentum also is looking more or less good here, although how much do you trust something that has this little history? Not much at all. Same thing with monthly RSI. Like, how much do I trust this? Not at all, actually. But if we look at spot, then it's actually pretty damn good itself too, which obviously won't close until Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So, or actually 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The time has changed now, I believe, or at least our time has changed here in Helsinki, which is why my sleep is all fucked up. But yes, keep an eye on this, because this is gonna drive the biases very, 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 very long term. So no matter what Bitcoin kind of does today, that's really what I have the most focus on right now. And it'll essentially, if Bitcoin on CME does confirm a new high on this run, then what does that essentially mean for myself? And this is not to say that this is what everyone else should be doing. This is not to say that this is the right or wrong thing to be doing. Just what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking for some more long-term longs that I'll probably be hodling for probably a while. Obviously, risk management will be a thing as well, but as it stands right now, it's hard to hate this chart. I always want to be as fair and balanced as possible, like Fox News, but it's at some point, things just, well, you can't really argue against that, at least in my opinion, or at least I've learned not to argue against that. Should also probably denote here as well for the monthly that Bitcoin's going to have a chance to get back into the bullish control zone for the first time since its small stint in early 2019. But realistically, you've seen something like this before, and this is kind of the signature that I'm talking about, where you get that first initial try into the bullish control zone after being away from it for a while, like right here, and it quickly gets rejected, right? You see the same thing over here. It spends a long year or two away from it, and then the first quick test in, spends a month in, and then boom, straight out. And then the next test after a little bit of reaccumulation and consolidation around the bullish control zone, that one typically does stay in for quite some time. And that's kind of what I'm looking at this right now as well. So Bitcoin's gonna have a chance to confirm all of this. So fair enough. To put it bluntly, the monthly is very, very good, and it only gets, in my opinion, better on the bi-monthly, which is also gonna be closing tomorrow as well. And the bi-monthly will have a chance to close on potentially even new all-time highs. Anywhere above 14,000 bucks would do it. But even just here is fine as well. Momentum also is looking good, looking nice and healthy, and this further drives kind of my long-term bias to the upside. Again, doesn't mean that we can have short-term downside. In fact, that's kind of looking like what it's going to be on the short term right here. Short term sideways and down, probably between where if I had to call it right now, I do think that Bitcoin's probably short term topped out right here, and we do come back down towards 13,000 bucks. That's just me. But again, that's just an opinion and not really anything that I'm even keen on trading on right here. Okay, let's go over the 2-day and 3-day, and then we'll go on to our secondary charts. 2-day, did we close one last night? No, we did not. No, we did not. We are still working on this one right here. Do you have anything to say about this? No, I don't think that it supersedes anything that we already spoke about on the monthly. Any sort of a close here higher though is going to look good for continuation coming into early November. But like I said, I'm not even really concerned with that. It's the long term that I'm concerned with right now. 3-day did close yesterday. Yes, that's what we were looking for. And 3-day, I do like. I actually would be looking for a backfill on last 3-day open. It's somewhere around 13,000 or 13,100-ish region. But again, it is continuation as it stands. Yes, 3-day Stokes are way the fuck up there. And yes, this area has called, quite a few tops in the past. But as you can see, during long trending moves, it will spend a long time within this region. This is all your rooms going back on over to here. So fair enough. Still, an understanding of the long term here, I think, is the most important thing, because we are seeing things that, a lot of people have been waiting 3, maybe even, well, actually, no, it wouldn't be longer than that, but about 3 years for. So fair enough. I think that right now is the time to be paying attention to the higher term timeframes. Lower term timeframes are fun, and there's a lot of opportunity on them right now. And from a trader's perspective, it's fucking great. It's fucking amazing. You get a short term range that's $300. It's just fucking wild. The opportunity is I just don't know where else you're going to find something like this right here. But for the long term people, I think that this is rather exciting as well. And just from a major moving average perspective, kind of hard to hate a signature like this. You're seeing just the 10 simple start to diverge from the 21 as well. Everything's kind of going with each other, more or less good. Anyways, just checking out the weekly as well. Obviously, we're not going to see the closure for spot price action today, but we will for CMEs. And for CMEs, it's kind of the same thing as the monthly. We already did close on new highs for this run with last week's closure. This week, what more could we do? We could see weekly Stokes, continue onwards and upwards here. I still like this signature a lot. Long term, it's good. Short term, could we have could we play out some short term and down? Yes, but long term, good. Same thing with weekly weekly Stokes. I really like this read as well. And that's really all I have to say about that. Let's go over here to our secondary charts, and let me just check in on. Oh, nice. Okay, we are in the TA Nerd session. All right, so I want to follow up on something that I brought up. This was, I think, back in July. I brought this up in July, July or maybe even August, but probably July right here. I spoke about this in the TA Nerd session, saying, hey, this is something that I'm looking at. I don't really want to show it during during fucking Spoon Boy time, because I think it's, you see it right in front of your fucking face. It takes a long time for it to happen. So, telling people that, about this inverted head and shoulders right here with this target all the way up to about 14,000 bucks, in July when price action is just kind of floating around, it's not going to be all that helpful, and people can misinterpret that relatively easily, unfortunately. But as you can see, over the course of the next few months, I guess it's June, July, August, October, and almost November now. Finally the target does get hit. So these things, when they're built over the course of half a year right here, of course it's going to take a long time for it to actually happen. And there you go, right in front of your very face. Here's something else, though, that you should probably think about. And here's something else that I think is going to be really, 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 really interesting for the Bulas. While this one I do stand by right here, and this actually was correct, there's another way of doing this as well, and it is equally as impressive. And it would be using this area right here as the neckline. And it actually makes even more sense, just looking at the Trollinger bands with the way that it trends. And we can make a new measure move on this one as well, which is likely going to point up just a little bit more north towards our next major target, of which I'll have in right here. And that would be, and I feel weird saying this, by the way. I feel weird saying this, but we are in the T-Nerd session, so I feel like I don't really have to filter myself as much. And this would be showing long-term $18,000. So we have our first formation, we have our first pattern, which I'm not really a big pattern trader myself. Triangles and triangles seem to work out pretty damn well in Bitcoin land. Head and shoulders are okay. Everything else is not really that great. Channels are okay too. But for the most part, I don't really pay attention to them. This one I would pay attention to, and long term, we have our first thing pointing north towards $18,000. So alongside the monthly read, which we're gonna have a chance to actually close on new highs, it does kind of make sense long term. And again, we could be talking like half a year out here. We are starting to see some ways forwards to those more impressive prices that you haven't seen since like 2017, right? So I'd keep an eye on that. Obviously, this area right here in the blue box territory, I would look for it to push back on the first pass. I mean, it's just, it's classic stuff. So that's why I do think that short term and medium term is probably going to be sideways and down. But long term is, assuming that we get this next monthly closure and assuming that this weekly close is, somewhere around here, I'm basically going to be looking for the same thing. Also, what we should be talking about is on the weekly for CMEs, which again is going to be closing today. Any sort of a close above the top side Trollinger band, I'm bullish coming into next week. Again, doesn't mean that we can't play at short term downside, but I would be bullish for new highs on this run coming into next week, probably into the low $14,000 region. And I'll just say that straight up right there as well. Again, as long as Bitcoin's closing weekly dildos above the top side Trollinger band, I'm basically looking at this as a trend in progress, and it is still continuation. This is the same read that we've seen on pretty much all of Bitcoin's long-term rallies, which I'll pull back right around here as well. There's been one obvious fake out and two, and another one that I would say that wasn't really one, but people could probably make the argument for it. But basically, anytime that Bitcoin does trade above the topside Trollinger band and close there, those are your long-term moves to the upside. You get this one right here, boom, that gets your next move until you close below it for about 58% move to the upside. Then you get this next one right here, that gets your whole move from like, I don't know, 10,000 or about 10,000 to about 14,000. It's a 42% move almost right there. And then the run from 2015 to 2017, several attempts right here. You get this massive wick, 61%, just fucking impaling all bearish bunkholes on it. You get this one right here, about 28%. We've done this the last few days, so I don't really go over it too much, but you kind of catch my drift. All of these are, around like 30 to 50% moves, except for this one right here, actually about 20%. So fair enough. Still pretty impressive though, to be fair. Then we get this one right here. This one's just almost 100%, pretty damn impressive. I'll let you do the rest for yourself if you want, or you can watch the videos from the last few days if we've done them there. But to put this in perspective, Bitcoin got its first weekly closure above the topside Trollinger band last week, actually. And so looking from bottom to top right now, how much percentage rally have we put in? About 8.25%. So what does that mean? Well, that likely means that if we're going off of anything historically related, that's kind of an outlier. It wouldn't really be that likely is what we're kind of saying right here. So usually on the lower end, about 25 to 30%, and on the upper end, I mean, it can get crazy. We've seen, I can show you this one way the fuck on back here, and this is just something else. This is just something else right here. This is a 1600% run right here. This one right here, a 630% run, pretty fucking crazy shit. So I'm not necessarily saying that I'd call anything like that, no, but I do think that this run, if I had to put money on it right now, it probably does continue onwards and upwards to the upside. This is kind of just a hard chart to hate right here. Anyways, let's go back and let's go look at traditional markets really quick. Let's go cover up on NASDAQ. And holy fucking moly. So yesterday on NAS, we did say it was likely to come all the way back down towards about 11,100 base and then bounce back up. I didn't really give targets on a bounce. I don't really have opinions on a bounce, but we got all the way up to about 11,450 it looks like. And actually that was just retesting this horizontal right here. So nicely done. But now coming into the weekly close for this, what would I be looking at? Actually wouldn't be surprised if it does make another swipe to the downside somewhere like just below 11,000 bucks. But I don't think that it's ready to break down just yet. And I actually I'm not even sold on the fact that it's going to break down at all. But I do think that the next move is probably back down around here, test that region and then bounce again. So if I'd call it right now, short-term downside, but I would be looking for it to bounce and then we'll come into November and we'll probably resolve the range. And I imagine that we're going to see something a little more obvious on SPY right here too. And yes, we do. So yesterday we did say kind of the same thing, coming back down to, I believe it was, where was it? Probably coming back down towards like 3250-ish region, and then bounce back up. Again, I didn't give targets for a bounce back onto the upside, but same thing here as well. I'm basically looking for this one to, well, would I be looking for short-term downside here? Maybe another small drive to the downside, but I actually would be looking for a greater bounce here based off the weekly. I don't think that we're going to break the 21 this week right now. So maybe retest yesterday's low, maybe even a little bit lower towards like 32.30 or 32.30, or sorry, 32.20 to 32.30, but I would be looking for a bounce, and then we'll come back next week and check it out. Remember though, the monthlies are closing, and this is going to this is going to be a very big deal right here. Any sort of a closure there's two major things for traditional markets that would make me look at this as a reversal happening now. And one of them would be where you see this alert right here. If we even just trade below last month's low in September at 3,200, basically, I'm basically bearish coming in for November down towards about 3,100 or actually more like 3050-ish region. At which point I'd be looking for a greater bounce there. Same thing on NASDAQ here too, although this one's, a lot lower, so it's a lot less helpful. I think that SPY futures are going to get this a lot easier. So technically speaking, that same area would be 650-ish region. I do think that you could make a call before that though. If the weekly does close below, let's call it 10.9. Yeah, what is this level right here? About 10.9. Yes. Then yeah, I would I would call that and then very likely back down below actually even 10,000 bucks, all the way back down here towards about 99.50 to maybe even all the way down towards like 9,300-ish region. It would be pretty damn nasty, but it is in the cards right now, but it's not confirmed just yet. Let's go check out what about Microsoft. Microsoft, same. You see the same thing on the monthly here too. We spoke about this yesterday. Keep an eye on 196.25. What does the weekly look like? Weekly tells me that we're probably going to bounce here instead, though. I don't think that this one's going to break down like right now. I think that it's probably going to try a rally from this region. Apple, same thing. Tesla down. Tesla's just piece of highly esteemed technology, baby. I'd be looking for this one to come back down towards 350, somewhere around 350 over the next few weeks. But then again, if I'm looking for the other ones to probably put in some bounces, am I wrong to think that this one comes down? Maybe yes. Let's go check out Mr. Buterol, wherever the fuck he is. There you are, 384. Kind of the same thing to say about this one than yesterday. Yeah, we got that short-term move to the downside yesterday. I do think that this one is going to try another bounce from this region, though. I don't think that it's breaking down from here. It's going to follow whatever Bitcoin does. So I don't think that that's what Bitcoin's doing, and by extension, I don't think that that's what Mr. Buterol is doing. I'd still actually be looking at the 430-ish region to the upside over the next couple of weeks. If that area does get broken, I get massively bullish on this one for a move, probably back up towards about 500 bucks. Let's go look at Link. What's Linky doing? Because this one's also one of great interest. Oh wow, still kind of stuttering here too. Very interesting. Short term's very, very obviously turning down. If I look at the weekly, it tells me don't get bearish on this just yet. If I look at the daily, it says get bearish on this now. You know what? I think I'd hold off on saying anything on Link then. I don't want the Link army coming after me, but yeah, short term is down. Short term is down 10.5 bucks. I'd be looking for. Should we even go lower than that? Yeah, we certainly could. $9 after that is where I'd be looking for. But 10.5 bucks, yes, I do think does get tested. Do we bounce there? I think short term, yes. But I need to see the weekly close on this one first. As it still stands, I shouldn't get too bearish on it just yet. Short term does look down though, to be fair. Let's go check out some Bitcoin pairings. I'm curious what Buteral versus Bitcoin looks like. Oh, this is just this is just fucking hot garbage right now. This is great. This is fucking great. Yeah, this is going for the full retrace, man. I've been saying this for a long time. Most altcoins are going to be going for a full retrace on this run, and probably not. And I'll actually even extend that. They're not going for full retraces. They're going to go for full retraces plus more downside. There you go. That's versus the Bitcoin pairing, not versus the US dollar pairing. Versus the US dollar pairing, things are probably going to trade at the very least sideways, and if they're stronger, then they'll go up with Bitcoin as well. Let's see. What about Link BTC? Is this one coming down too? Yeah, this one's breaking down. This one's coming back down towards 66,000 Satoshis. What about Cardano? Cardano never even got up. It needs the blue pill, baby. Take the blue pill. Back down to 450. What about Litecoin? Litecoin's got to be doing well, right? Okay, and that's enough internet for today. All right, so back on to Bitcoin. Let's wrap this bitch up. Let's do a little bit of a synopsis here. And again, short-term time frame range. Hey, get on the right chart, please. Short-term time frame range 13,350. Same thing as yesterday. To the downside now, though, and that would be holding in a nice little move with extension implied towards about $13,000 base. Personally speaking, I do think that Bitcoin would just reach for 12.8 or 12.9 and probably bounce off there again if that condition was met. But for right now, it does look like it wants to have a short-term try back up towards about 13.6 or 13.650. Technically speaking, it is putting in a higher low right here, to be fair, on the hourly. So there you go. So what is this looking like right now? Well, very, 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 very short term, probably yes, does test back up towards about 13,650. But here's the thing. Do I get, or does that really imply anything greater for like a medium-term time frame move? No. The way that I resolve the upside is I'd actually be looking for just a move. Doesn't even need to close above, but a move above our current high of today. Not yesterday, but today, 13,675. If that does happen, I'd look for a move at the very least to about 13.9. And personally speaking, I don't really see anything around 13.9 except for the one spot 272 extension here, and also a prior high, which is going to get some interest. I personally speaking, I think that Bitcoin would just kind of spike into here, and it'd be, here's what I actually think is going to happen. This is classic fucking Bitcoin. Bitcoin trades a little bit sideways today and tries some upside. Over the weekend, on Saturday specifically, it'll try into this blue box territory right here, spiking up incredibly aggressively, incredibly violently. And then on Sunday, it'll sell everything back down and play out this same range that we're seeing between about upper 13,000 and low 13,000. That's my personal opinion. But of course, big eyes on the monthly close here. And I should always reiterate that I do not trade my personal opinion. My opinion is bullshit. My opinion is bogus. It does not mean anything. I only trade technical analysis. So in this case right here, yes, in technical analysis terms, either a 2-hour delta closure above 13,650 or just a trade higher than our current high, which is 13,675, which I think is just going to be easier. And then I'd be looking for extension for another $200 to $300, maybe even $400 all the way to 14,200. But I would be looking for a local high right there, with specific interest on the monthly closure, as we spoke about earlier, because that is going to be the biggest, most important thing, and can really drive some more long-term biases. And again, to the downside, breaking below 13,350, I'd look for a quick move down. Well, maybe not quick move, but I'd look for a move down towards about $13,000 base, with probably wicks down towards 12.8 or 12.9, and then using this as the next sort of major area for kind of holding in some downside, as if it does break below 12.9, we'll call up. On a 4-hour delta closure, I would look for extension almost $1,000 lower towards $12,000 base right here. So with that said, I'd like to wish you the best of the best. I'd like to wish you the happiest. Have a nice Friday in your life. I'll be back on later with some more Forex analysis. Take care, and until next time.